Boys and girls, it's me again. We're getting ready to read chapter 4, but before we do, I wanted to have a quick review of what happened, of the big ideas that happened in chapter 3. So in chapter 3, at the end of chapter 3, Jesse and Ma were out by the King of the Mountain Rock again, and Ma had cautioned Jesse to that they had to talk quietly. We don't know why, but Ma is questioning or cautioning Jesse to talk quietly. Jesse was questioning Mom, asking if she thought Betsy and the other kids were going to be okay, and if she thought that her little sister Katie had the same thing that the other children had. Ma had let her know that what she thought it was, and she said it was diphtheria, at least from Ma's professional opinion. That's what she was thinking it was, diphtheria. And then she went on to describe to Jesse the situation about how things weren't as they appeared, and she was having a difficult time, as I am right now, having a difficult time describing to Jesse what the situation really was, because here Jesse was living a life of the 1840s, and suddenly then on page 21 it says that Jesse waited, not used to seeing Ma, so puzzled and worried. Finally, Ma looked back at Jesse. "We've been in Clifton for 12 years now, right? Remember how Pa always told you we came here because there was more opportunity than back in Pennsylvania?" Jesse nodded. "Well, that's true, but not in the way we led you to believe. See, Clifton isn't an ordinary village. It's a historical preserve." All right, so we need to take a look at the word historical preserve. What does that mean? All right, we know that the word preserve means to conserve or to keep things the way they are. So historical preserve leads me to believe that Clifton Village is kind of like, I guess we can compare it to colonial Williamsburg maybe, only that the people in this historical preserve actually believe, or at least some of the people actually believe, it is the 1840s. So what's that? Jesse's voice shook a little. Ma's gaze was steady. "Here, everything's like it was in the 1800s, Ma said slowly. "Outside, it's..." Ma seemed to be counting in her mind. "Outside, it's 1996. All right, so that was a cliffhanger that Margaret Patterson Haddix left us with at the end of chapter 3. So in chapter 4, I would predict that Jesse's going to have lots of questions about 1996. Are you kidding me? This seems like it's time travel. It seems like, Jessie is 13. She's going to have a hard time, I could only imagine, with understanding what that truly means, what the impact of it really be in 1996. She has nothing to base this on. They've never seen television, never, really, never saw television, never, not that many publications at that point. And they're still writing on slates for the most part at school, if you recall. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn to page 22, chapter 4, and begin our reading today, and see what if our predictions about Jesse questioning what 1996 was going to be like. Let's see if any of those predictions hold true. For a long moment, Jesse couldn't say anything. How could it be 1996? Jesse's mind felt jumbled. If it wasn't 1840, last year wasn't 1839, and... "Jesse," Ma said, "are you listening?" "I'm trying to," Jesse said. "Pa and I have always wondered if we were being fair to you children. At least, I always wondered. Many times I wanted to tell, especially you and Andrew, but it got so it was safer not to." "Why?" Ma frowned. "I don't understand everything myself. I know what Miles Clifton said in the beginning, but I can't believe it anymore. How can I explain what I don't know?" Jessie had never seen her mother so uncertain. She snatched on the familiar name. "You said Miles Clifton." "Yes, I know you learned about him in school," Ma said. "What's the story again?" "He built the first cabin in Clifton in 1825. He invited other people to live here, then moved on when he felt Clifton had become too civilized. Jessie said, in the sing-songy voice she had used to answer Mr. Smythe, it was comforting to repeat the well-known history. Ma laughed bitterly. That's so ridiculous. Miles Clifton couldn't survive 2 days in Clifton. He's a millionaire. He'd probably die without his limousine. Jessie tried to understand. What's a millionaire? What's a limousine? A millionaire is somebody who's really very rich. A limousine is a big car, Ma said. Jessie must have looked puzzled because Ma went on, and a car is... Oh, Jessie, this is too hard. There's so much you need to know, and so much even I can't tell you. Ma looked like she was going to cry, and Jessie felt frozen. She swallowed hard. Tell me what you do know, she said, trying to sound calm. Ma nodded, and soon she went on, her tone as even as when she explained the multiplication tables to Nathan. Miles Clifton did found this village in a way. He came up with the idea of building an authentic historical preserve, instead of doing it halfway like at Williamsburg. Williamsburg? The old capital of Virginia? Jessie asked, hoping she'd recognized another name. Maybe she wasn't as ignorant as Ma thought. Well, yes, you would know that, wouldn't you? Mr. Smythe's from Virginia, remember, and he talks like it's really the only state in the Union. That's right. Only Williamsburg pretty much fell to pieces after the capital was moved. Then it was restored years ago as a tourist site. Again, Jessie felt confused, but this time Ma added the explanation smoothly. A tourist site is someplace people travel to look at. Sometimes they go to learn something. Williamsburg was restored to help people understand the past. But mainly people go to tourist sites just for fun. Jessie tried to make sense of that. Traveling was so difficult. She couldn't imagine people doing it to learn about the past, and didn't they have history books? And traveling just for fun would be crazy. All the adults in Clifton talked about how terrible their journey out from the east had been, except Jessie herself had always wondered if the rest of the world looked like Clifton. It might be fun to find out. Ma was still talking. It seemed